morning and welcome back to Newswatch3, Asbury's very own news show.
We are so excited to be bringing you your weekly news every Tuesday. I'm Addie Smith.
And I'm Rachel Law, and this week we are taking a look at Asbury's iconic mascot and getting to know a little bit more about an important face behind the Eagle.
Then we will bring you the updates on the question of who stole the jewels in Glad Crawford over the weekend.
And more on today's top stories.
Asbury's well-known Isaiah the Eagle had a bit of a makeover during winter break.
During the first chapel of the semester, students got to see the brand new mascot look.
And our very own Rachel Law brings us some insider information about the mascot in today's top story.
I had a chance to sit down with Blake Sunny this week to talk a little bit more about this. An ordinary office on Asbury University's campus holds the school's biggest secret. What may seem like an ordinary man is the school's retired mascot, Blake Sunny. Sunny took the long-neglected Eagle and dreamed of turning him into a beloved friend on campus.
Out of the blue, someone would walk into my office and go, "Are you the mascot guy?" And, yeah, I am.
After graduation from Asbury, Sunny joined Asbury's staff and was given the opportunity to reimagine Isaiah the Eagle into something that would make students excited to go to athletic events.
For the longest time, they hadn't had a mascot, and it had this suit, and when I first got it, it was actually completely destroyed. The eyes were scratched out, the whole thing was matted, it had mold growing in the head, and so there was a lot I had to do before I could even get in the suit.
Not only did he reimagine Isaiah, but he gets to train and recruit the newest faces behind the mascot.
And we had this conversation of, what if we were to do the mascot all over again? The suit is old, it's been around forever, it's not holding up, what if we got a new suit?
With such a passion for the mascot, these newbies have big shoes to fill. Luckily, Sunny shares that he's gotten lucky and found mentees that are just as passionate as he is.
And we've had some of the most amazing mascots I've ever seen.
Passing the wings to a new team of Eagles has been bittersweet for Sunny, but he knew it was time to retire from the position.
You walk in that suit and you see a little kid's face light up, or even like the grouchiest guy in the world will come over and give you a fist bump, and you're like, okay, I made his day. Like, there's something special about that I just don't think I don't think everybody gets that.
In Wilmore, Rachel Law, Newswatch3.
Blake Sunny and his team are making sure the Eagle is prepared for future games and appearances.
The mascot is ready to help amp up the crowds and the atmosphere just right for the athletes.
Isaiah is expected to begin making some appearances very soon.
A crime was committed in the once peaceful halls of Glad Crawford last Saturday for one of their iconic events. Hosting its annual all-campus event Mystery in the Parlor, students were invited to GC to solve the theft of the missing jewel. The event brought the iconic board game Clue to life. RAs dressed as different characters from the game, and each floor was decorated as a different room, such as the kitchen, billiard room, and the dining room. Students formed groups and began their journey with a video explaining the crime and who the suspects were. Like the game, groups received a chart to keep track of where the suspects were and at what time. The object of the game was to determine who did it, where the gem was hidden, and what time the crime was committed. Every room had a hidden clue, and groups were allowed to question the suspects to gain more information. Once groups had talked to each suspect and visited each location, they put the clues together to determine who done it and presented their findings to the detective. The event had a large turnout and marked another successful Mystery in the Parlor for the women's dorm.
The Asbury women's basketball team just got back from a tournament this past weekend in North Carolina. Our live reporter Spencer Harvey is in the Luce right now to tell us about this past weekend and the game tomorrow night. Hey Spencer.
Thanks, Eddie. I am here at the Luce Physical Activity Center, where tomorrow night our women's basketball team will be live in action. The girls are coming off an undefeated week on the road. They began their winning streak at Welch College in Tennessee. The team made a comeback after being down at halftime. All 5 of Asbury starters combined for 82 of the 89 points to beat the Lady Flames by 14. This past weekend, the Eagles were in North Carolina, coming out on top against 2 very tough teams. They reached triple digits in their 100-67 win against Johnson and Wales College. They also brought home a victory against Warren Wilson College after being down 14 at half. Tomorrow night will be one of the 7 home games that the Lady Eagles have got to play here at the Luce Center. They continue the season 13-9, looking to close out the regular season with 3 more wins. Tip-off will be at 6 o'clock against Campbellsville-Harrodsburg, so make sure you come out and support our Eagles. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Spencer. The women's basketball team takes on Campbellsville-Harrodsburg at 6 up in the Luce. And for those unable to attend, the Asbury Sports Digital Network is covering the game online.
Now turning our focus over to sports. A lot has gone down in the sporting world from Brady's now official exit, the Pro Bowl showdown over the weekend, and tennis news, both national and local. For more on everything sports, let's turn it over to our sports reporter, Christian Kotwitz.
Thanks, Rachel. The Asbury tennis team is now in the swing of their spring season. They kicked off the 2023 season by hosting Rhodes College at Top Seed Tennis Club last Friday night. The Eagles fought hard for a close 5-4 victory. They had a standout performances from Franco Patino and Yosef Ismail in the singles category. This morning, the Asbury swim team started their trek to Illinois for the Liberal Arts Conference Championship. The meet officially starts tomorrow and spans for 4 days, ending on the 11th. With sports like swimming and the rest of the winter lineup coming to a close, the spring sports are now beginning to wind up. The golf team will be back in action on the 27th for their first practice of the 2023 season. Addie Smith brings us a look at one golfer who is working hard to compete this season.
Injury, an athlete's worst fear, became a reality for Anna Hunsinger during the start of her freshman golf career. Now she is working her way back to compete in the upcoming spring season.
It was during the first tournament of my freshman-sophomore season here at Asbury, and around the 8th hole, I hit a very chunky shot, and I just felt kind of like a tug in my shoulder. From there, my pinky finger and my ring finger went numb. I had a little bit of a wild injury. It was, I believe, a slap tear in my labrum, and then it also affected my rotator cuff. I wake up in the morning, go to the simulator room, play or hit usually 100 to 200 balls, and then chip and putt. With that injury, it definitely put a toll on my trusting God's plan and trusting God's will for me, because I felt like I wasn't able to do any of the things that I hoped for. And so I realized that I needed to trust God, and that even though things didn't go my way and that I wasn't able to do everything I hoped and my expectations weren't met, that He still is going to use that time of my life for the good.
In Wilmore, I am Addie Smith, Newswatch 3.
Thanks, Addie. The women will have their first tournament in Alabama at the beginning of March. On the national level, the NFL has revamped the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas. This year, there was no tackling, as it took on more of a flag football approach, with skills competitions such as throwing accuracy and dodgeball. Despite the low-impact nature, it provided more than enough competitive drama on Sunday. After a lot of back and forth, the NFC claimed the victory over the AFC 35-33. A key point of victory came from Minnesota's Vikings quarterback, Kirk Cousins, in the last 3 flag football games. Points were added up from each event to crown a winner in the appetizer for Sunday's big Super Bowl matchup in Arizona. In other NFL news, quarterback veteran Tom Brady announced his retirement yet again via social media on Wednesday. His quarterback career consisted of 7 Super Bowl titles and 3 MVPs. And his time with the league doesn't look to be officially over. Reporters say that he has signed a $375 million deal with Fox Sports for a 10-year commentating contract. Another top sporting name landed a big win last week. Novak Djokovic won the Australian Open for the 10th time in his career. On Sunday, the tennis star beat out Stefanos Tsitsipas in the least-watched men's tennis final in a decade. The win marks the 93rd singles titles for Djokovic and his 22nd Grand Slam win, placing him in contention for the title of one of the greatest tennis players of all time, despite some of his past controversies. Well, that's all the sports updates I have for you today. Back to you, Addie.
Thanks, Christian. Shifting over to national news. Asia and Europe are still reeling from the shock of a devastating 7.8 magnitude earthquake that struck before dawn yesterday. The quake killed more than 4,300 people, with numbers still on the rise. The quake leveled buildings and left a devastating aftermath. Isabel Rosales reports on the precarious search for the survivors and the one factor making that search all the more dangerous. But first, a warning. Some of the images are graphic and may be hard to watch.
From under the dust and rubble, a small hand reaches out. Volunteer white helmet rescuers pulling out a Syrian boy from the debris, alive. But their frantic search for life is not enough.
We need help. We need support, immediate support from anyone who can support us.
The catastrophic 7.8 magnitude earthquake collapsing buildings as people slept in bed. The U.S. Geological Survey predicts the death toll could rise by the thousands based on the location of the quake in Turkey and Syria. It's one of the strongest to hit the region since 1939.
We're not ready to deal with something like this. It's bigger than us and bigger than any NGO operating in northwest Syria to handle this disaster.
Survivors unable to go home, taking shelter wherever they can find, even in cars.
If you want to say hello to my kids.
But strong aftershocks complicating the search for those trapped, the biggest of them measuring a powerful 7.5 magnitude. International help is on the way. Several countries are donating money, equipment, and manpower as rescuers dig for any signs of life. I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
Search crews from across the surrounding countries have come together to try and assist in the ongoing search and rescue attempts. Turkey's president has declared 7 days of national mourning, and many countries have come forward offering condolences, including a tweet from President Biden yesterday morning.
Attention turned to the skies over the weekend with the sighting of a Chinese balloon over the East Coast. The military shot the balloon down on Saturday. Now China is expressing strong dissatisfaction and protest against President Joe Biden's decision to take it down. China claims the balloon was a civilian research airship used mainly for weather research. They say the balloon was simply blown off course and not intended for U.S. airspace. However, U.S. officials believe that the high-altitude balloon was being used for surveillance. Across the nation, politicians are both defending and speaking out against the president for waiting to shoot it down, with some saying the balloon should have come down sooner. Now, U.S. Navy and Coast Guard vessels on the eastern seaboard are working on recovering the balloon debris, with plans to send it to the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia, for analysis. Recent reports claim this was not the first balloon to enter U.S. airspace, and that there were 3 others during the Trump administration.
3 former Twitter employees have struck a deal to testify in the House Oversight Committee's probe of Hunter Biden's laptop. The committee is investigating Twitter's decision to temporarily suppress a New York Post story about the laptop near the end of the 2020 presidential campaign. Subpoenas have been requested for Twitter's former chief legal officer, former deputy general counsel, and former head of trust and safety in order to compel their testimony. They made the request because of the legal complications of publicly sharing privileged information from Twitter committee before. It comes after Twitter CEO Elon Musk released internal staff communications about the decision to censor the Post story. Committee Chairman James Comer met privately with Elon Musk last month. Comer said the hearing may, quote, incorporate some private conversations from some high-level people at Twitter who support the belief that the U.S. government may have played a role in the suppression of the Post story.
Imagine being 9 years old and already trying to decide where to go to college. Well, that's the case for one boy from Pennsylvania who already has his high school diploma. Barbara Barr introduces us to this already accomplished youngster and the people who helped him reach his goal.
I've never seen a 9-year-old graduate.
But that's just what 9-year-old David Balagoon has done, graduating from Reach Cyber Charter School in Harrisburg.
We're just proud that we're able to individualize his instruction.
They didn't bog me down. They also advocated for me, saying he can do this, he can do that.
David took classes remotely from his home in Bucks County. He loves science and computer programming.
I want to be an astrophysicist, and I wanted to study black holes and supernova.
David's parents have advanced degrees, but raising a young son with extraordinary intellectual gifts is challenging.
I had to get outside of the box. Playing pillow fights when you're not supposed to, throwing the balls in the house. Like, he's a 9-year-old with a brain that just have the capacity to understand and comprehend a lot of concept that's beyond his years and sometimes beyond my understanding.
A member of Mensa, David credits a number of favorite teachers.
Mr.
He taught them a thing or two in just the few years it took him to get through the 12th grade.
David was an inspirational kid, definitely one who changes the way you think about teaching.
After completing a semester at Bucks County Community College, the family is now looking at colleges and universities across the country to try to find one that's just the right fit.
Am I going to throw my 9-year-old into Harvard while I'm living in PA? No.
Another tough question on this unique journey. But so far, David and those around him have come up with the right answers.
Now, David isn't just book smart.
According to his parents, he also loves to play the piano and sports.
The young prodigy is currently working to earn his black belt in martial arts.
And that's a whole lot of talent in just one little kid.
Well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Remember, we are your weekly campus news show. We'll see you next Tuesday, Asbury.